we go. I just started my recording as well. It is absolutely fine for you to record. And then we are also recording the webinar, so you are welcome to use ours, and then you don't have to, take up the space on your computer, or you are welcome to use your own. Oh, thank you, Logan. Jasper is at Boy Scouts. Very cool. I am a lifelong scout, so I definitely support scouting. And I should say, normally we will start promptly, maybe not right at 6. We give a few minutes to kind of do some current events. If anyone saw something in the news or heard about something in class that they want to share, right at the beginning of class is a good time for that. But especially with the setup and these first couple of webinars, just want to make sure that everybody gets the information. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so it looks like everybody successfully got signed into Edmodo, which is great. Round of applause for you all.
Also, Ms. Dubik, before you get going here, I would just like to compliment you all for being here today. It's really important that you keep coming to these webinars, so well done. And thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. We get some clapping going on as well. Clap, clap.
Excellent, excellent.
Great. All right, can I see a raise of hands of if you have successfully created a Gmail account that you'll be able to use for this class? All right. Put hands down. Can I see a show of hands if you do not need help creating a Gmail account? Okay. If that changes for whatever reason, oh, I just saw a hand go down. Maybe that was phrased confusingly. Let me try. If you need help creating that Gmail account, or if that answer changes at any point, please send a message. We may get started on Google Sites today, so I'm glad to see that both of you feel comfortable creating a Google account. Again, this is being recorded, so if you don't have your Google account yet, we can do that for a little bit or allow you time to do that before we get started on the Google Sites. But also you can do it after class and follow the recording. I think if we get to Google Sites, it'll be at the very end of class today. So you're not going to miss a lot. We definitely need that Gmail account for Wednesday. Okay. And if at any point you change your mind and you thought you could do the Gmail account, but now you have some questions, please feel free to shoot me a question. Great. Okay, as a shout out, remember that we will be posting recordings to this playlist. So I posted it on Edmodo, so everyone should have access to it. So this shows the webinar from last week, and then tonight's will be posted here as well. And every webinar will get posted to this one playlist. So it's a little bit easier if you just bookmark this one link, as opposed to having to click on every webinar that gets posted. So that's what I recommend. I'm going to go ahead and you should be able to see this in your chat. I just sent that link out. So let's see. Hey, Caitlin, what's your question?
It was just a quick question.
Sounds good.
And Inkscape. I heard something about it in the last class.
Great. Just curious what Inkscape is?
No, I wonder if I need to open for this class, because I have it open right now.
Oh, very cool. We will not need Inkscape for this class. That's a good question, though.
Okay.
Thank you. So we're going to be starting Inkscape after you guys make your digital portfolios. So maybe Wednesday, probably next Monday. Your question. Oh, gotcha, Logan. Great then. Perfect. Yeah, you don't need the Gmail part, just the Google account. And how to build Jet. Oh, very cool. All right. Hopefully we'll be doing some aerospace engineering, and so you can talk about jets a little bit and share some knowledge on jets. That'd be great. All right. We do ask parents like Young Engineers of Today on Facebook, and that's going to help any kind of announcements that we give out. We do a lot through Facebook, so it's a helpful page to like to get updates from Facebook. And we have these links there. All right, and that kind of takes care of the housekeeping, quote-unquote, business. And now we're actually just going to get into the bones of it, of what is an engineer. And we talked a little bit last week, and you all shared kind of your ideas of engineers. I think some of the ideas shared work on cars and trucks and vehicles, and someone that builds. We're going to go a little bit deeper into that. I do want to bring up again this optional homework assignment, and I'll post it. I'll go ahead and post it now. You can see it'll be a PDF, so you could write out your answers. This is not going to be something that you have to submit or email. If you would like to take a picture or type it and send it, I'm happy to look at your answers. But it's something that is completely optional if you would like to do it. We will go through the answers at the start of the next class. It's a good way to check and make sure that you are understanding. This one will be very straightforward, but as we move along, as we approach a new subject, it'll be a good opportunity to return to an old subject and review that. And it can be a way to just check and make sure that you are kind of gathering information. And also, it's a good starting point for your digital portfolio, which we're going to be working on. So as you go to work on your digital portfolio, you can kind of look at these questions and it'll remind you of what we've gone over so far. Let's see here. So what I'm doing right now, I just hit the print. A little lesson here. See if it'll let me do that. There we go. Okay. Printing is going to give you the option of saving it to a PDF, which is a flat file. It'll make your document look like a picture, and that way it's really easy for any computer to open it. So that's what I'm doing right now. Go ahead and save this. And I'm adding it right now to the handouts. So this is something I just want you to be able, if you would like to look at the questions as we move through, so that you'll have it. This is not something that I expect you, or honestly, I would even want you guys to work on during class, because hopefully you'll be engaged and kind of answering questions as we go along. That's uploading there. All right, and you can see one of these, and we'll get back to this. So to choose one field of engineering and describe the source of research activities and jobs associated with the field. So this would require research on your own. Again, optional, but you could choose a kind of field of engineering that you're not as familiar with and learn. Maybe you would discover a new interest of yours, and then you get to share that with the class as well. So everyone benefits. All right, what is an engineer? Raise your hand, or you can go ahead and shoot me via a question. Does anyone remember the definition that I gave of an engineer from last week? I have a really simple but specific definition for an engineer that it's from Young Engineers of Today, and I think it's a really good explanation. No guesses? Well, so Webster's dictionary defines engineering as the practical application of science and math, as in the design and construction of machines, vehicles, which you guys really hit on, structures, roads, and systems. This, is kind of a traditional idea of what an engineer does. The definition I gave, engineers use math and science to improve the world. Engineering is the application of math and science in order to improve the world, or to make the world a better place. That's kind of my definition of engineering, or my definition of an engineer. And it's not just, in science, you're doing a lot of research. In math, you're studying a lot of the way that the world works, studying systems, kind of trying to understand how the world works. Engineering is applying that research and that knowledge in order for a practical application, in order to help kind of our humanity, our society. All right. So here's a little meme. What makes a good engineer? I didn't choose the engineering life. The engineering life shows me as you grow to meet more and more engineers, there's a certain kind of humor that goes along with it. I think we get along. We got a question here. All right, let's keep all questions appropriate. All right, so let's use appropriate language. I'm all a fan of jokes. But. All right. Engineers need to be strong in math and science. They need to be problem solvers who show perseverance, and they need to be able to work as a team and to communicate effectively. So I think a lot of times if you think about what would make a good engineer, these might not be the top qualities you think of. Maybe this first one, math and science. But what are some things that you guys associate with engineers? Anything? I heard a lot of people talk about engineers working on a car. What would you need to be good at maybe to work on a car? Cademan, you know how to build a jet. What are the sorts of things and skills or knowledge? Me, myself, and I. Okay, so independence is what that seems like. We're going to learn a little bit about whether just you can build a jet. Is that something just one person can do or one person can work on? Or even just one department, one team? Well, Cademan, maybe just one person could build a jet, but to design a jet, I'm going to go ahead and say the people that do it most successfully do work as part of a team. Any other thoughts? No hands? Nothing? I would say if I was thinking about a traditional engineer, maybe they're good working with their hands. They can work with their hands well. Maybe they're really good with computers. Maybe there's, I kind of think of people that like to take things apart and put them back together again, kind of handy in that way. And I really think about being strong in math and science. I think you're gaping with me right now, Cademan. Let me see. Let me unmute you. Any other thoughts? No more?
Yeah, I just kind of blanked.
I gotcha. That happens to me all the time. All right. So actually, these three that we're talking about, what makes a good engineer, young engineers of today didn't just make these up. These are the things that groups that hire engineers look for, and that schools that accept people into their programs for engineering, these are the sorts of things that they look for. All right, sorry for that noise there. I've got a little dog and she was scratching her collar there, so that noise should no longer be there. All right, so engineers need to be strong in math and science. I think this is the one that is the most self-explanatory. Right? In order to apply, this is definitely what engineering school is like, lots of studying. All right, in order to apply the math and science principles to improve the world, it's essential that you have a strong foundation in these subjects. Now, that does not mean you have to be an expert in math and science, not at all. All engineers, from people who work on cars to chemical manufacturers, need to study hard in math or science. They need to pay attention and hopefully be interested in that and be curious. In chemistry class or in math class, do you have additional questions? Do you think, I wonder why that works? Or I see that works for that. I wonder what would happen if you changed this out. That sort of natural curiosity is really important. And so it's it's great if you are naturally gifted at math or science. That's really helpful. But that curiosity matched with someone that's willing to work hard, that is key. That's really important. You don't need to be a math or science superstar. Different positions require different expertise, and we'll learn about that. So some people are in engineering, they're going to study a lot of calculus. They're going to probably be on more of the design end of the spectrum. And some people are going to study more kind of just algebra. That's what they'll get in math classes. And they'll be probably more on the construction phase. Not true for everybody, but just generally, kind of you have the calculus-based engineering and the algebra-based engineering. And it's the spectrum. No matter what you want to do, it's important to keep in mind, work hard. Work hard, study hard. You don't need to be a superstar, but you do need to pay attention in class, no matter what kind of engineering that you want to do. Just something to keep in mind. Let's see if we have another question. Hey, Cayman, do you have another question or comment?
I thought you said we would, in the last class, I thought you said we would be doing something with all the students together.
Not entirely sure what you mean. I guess maybe what you're thinking of, I'll meet you for a second, is that, so normally the lectures won't be quite like this with just the slides and you all are just watching. Sometimes they'll be like that, but not necessarily for the whole class. And what we're trying to do now is get through the intro, explain what engineering is, go through that Edmodo stuff. This is actually still the first slide set. And then you guys will be actually typing HTML on your own computers. That's what we're going to get to at the end of class today. Also, on the first webinar, there weren't a lot of opportunities for you all to be able to answer questions, which I'm going to try to throw at you. So I think that's what I was thinking of, or that's what you might be thinking of. I'm not entirely sure of a collaboration other than that. I definitely want you guys to be able to talk to each other in terms of just talking to the class. So I think it's great that you like to raise your hand and speak to the class, that sort of thing. Let's see. Yeah, I like this meme. Ooh. Yeah. So You may have laughed at this meme. Love is in the air. False. Nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and carbon dioxide are in there. So there are some stereotypes, quote unquote, for what an engineer is. And a stereotype is just there are some things that people associate with people who are engineers. And maybe they might think of Dwight from The Office, or someone that is very literal, right? And that is very studious. But in actuality, and I know Cademan was kind of joking earlier that it just takes one person to build a jet, it's really important that engineers work together. And while it might not seem like it, working as part of a team is something that you need to work on and practice, just like math, just like how you practice and you learn different skills in school or in class. Working as part of a team is something that requires practice as well. And that's definitely something that you guys are going to be able to do, especially at lab. You know, Cademan, now that you brought that up, that's definitely going to be something that I'll try to think about different ways that we can still work as a team, even though we don't have that chat aspect available. I'll brainstorm some different ways that we can incorporate more of that. So I think that would be great. All right. To solve great problems, engineers of different backgrounds must come together to combine their expertise. So let's get back to this jet example. We have lots of different kinds of engineers, right? Let's take a look at some of the different kinds of engineers that we have. What do you think? Someone that was building a jet, if you're going to get together a group of engineers to build a jet, what kind of different engineers do you think you would need to ask? Think about the different sorts of systems that are in a jet. And it may be, you know, we definitely haven't gone over all of these terms. So it's okay if this question's going a little over people's heads. But let me try to see if I can phrase it a different way. I'll just answer for right now. You know, a jet requires electricity in order to run. A jet requires motors, so mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. It's going to require computers, especially modern jets are going to require computers. A lot of times, those computers are also going to require software. So there's the hardware of the computer, like the screen and the chips. And then there's the software, the programs that go on the computers. Military. And there are all sorts of different fields of engineering, and people have to come together in order to build something like a jet, especially like a modern jet. Or think about giant projects like getting to the moon. That required people from really different backgrounds to come together and combine their expertise. That means they have to be really, really knowledgeable, but not just that. They have to be able to explain their knowledge to someone else who doesn't have time to go to school for 6 years and become, you know, a master in aerospace engineering. The electrical engineer needs to be able to understand what the motor is going to look like. So the mechanical engineer needs to be able to communicate with them, and vice versa. It's incredibly important. It is one of the #1 requested skills, being able to communicate, being able to work as part of a team. Luckily, it's also pretty fun. All right. You need to be able to not just know the answer to a question, but be able to communicate in a clear way in order for everyone in your team to understand. All right. So this is like a funny cartoon, which can show some pitfalls when it comes to people working on a project that aren't able to communicate really well. So imagine a user asks for a rope swing that looks like this, And essentially, in order to design and build this rope swing, all sorts of different teams have to work on the rope swing individually. So the user asks for a rope swing, and then the first group that thinks about it is thinking of this kind of rope swing. The group that designed it, so the group that spoke to the analysts, when they designed it, they were designing it with this in mind, and et cetera, et cetera. It's almost like a giant game of telephone. So. All right. Engineers, this is our last piece here, they need to be able to show perseverance. So they got to be able to keep going. Half credit. If you built a bridge and it collapsed and killed everyone, do you get half credit? So you see this a lot of students asking for, oh, all I did is I forgot the negative sign, right? Especially, here at Engineers of Today, we don't want you to be afraid of not knowing the right answer. We want you to take a guess, an educated guess, but to take a guess and not being afraid of being wrong. Because you know what? It's better that you tried, right? It's better that you're engaged. So there is nothing wrong with failing sometimes. There's a phrase called failing up. So instead of thinking about failing as being something that's bad, think about it as taking a risk and seeing if it works out. But you just can't stop there. So if you're building a bridge and you make a mistake, you got to keep working on it until that bridge is safe and is built correctly and is safe for use and kind of what everyone asked for. So you got to be able to persevere. Every engineering project that you take on, you will run into walls. If you don't, you are not taking on something that's really going to push you as much as you could be. You can ask Mr. Dubik, you can ask me. If we are working on a project, you expect it. You expect that something is not going to work like you thought it would. You expect that you're going to run into some sort of issue that is outside of your control. And it can be really frustrating, and it can make you really angry or really sad. But you just got to keep working and understand that this happens to everyone. Engineers are presented with huge, huge problems. And they can seem really overwhelming if you just think about the giant problem. But being an engineer is all about breaking that problem down into manageable tasks. It's like being a puzzle solver. Don't get overwhelmed. Sitting down and thinking about how you're going to build a jet, that's a big problem, right? But just break it down. You're going to design a way to get power to the jet. You're going to design motors to get that jet moving really fast, etc., etc. You're going to break down each kind of portion into smaller tasks until it's manageable. And you just got to keep working. You are going to have to persevere through setbacks. Expect it, be okay with it, be excited about it, and just keep going. All right, so again, just to summarize here, engineers need to be strong in math and science. They need to be problem solvers who show perseverance. And you need to be able to work as a team and to communicate effectively. Uh-oh. Great. Cademan, I'm glad that you've done that already. Do any of you have a story of time that maybe you had to persevere when you ran into an issue? Or is there something that really sticks out to you that you identify with one of these? I'll go ahead and say I really I'm trying to think of a specific story. So I'm trying to think here. I have a story of when I worked as a team to communicate effectively. Hey, Kanan, you are fine to type what you want, but let's try to stick to things that are engineering focused, all right? Because every time you send a message in, it's a little question for me, so I stop what I'm doing to check it, and it can just end up slowing us down. I don't want to just be lecturing, okay? That's fine. I'm okay with you typing, but no stories? I will give people a chance to answer, and I will tell a little bit of a story myself. I was in just a little bit ago. This is me as a teacher in a classroom. So at the front of the classroom, 18 students all excited and ready to learn. I had a project I was very excited about where we were working with Arduinos, which are microcontrollers that I think you guys are going to get a chance to work with. Little boards that can send out electricity and power a circuit. And I could not get it. My project had been working and working and working, and of course, in front of a classroom of many, many students, it wouldn't work. So of course, I had to shift plans, worked on it for a very long time, couldn't get it to work, changed out a bunch of stuff, and of course, just one of my cords was broken. Spent many, many hours trying to figure out what was going wrong. Thought it was something that was really hard, and it was just one tiny cord that just was broken on the inside. I couldn't even tell it was broken. So you just can't give up, and know that no matter when it is in life, you are just gonna keep running into those. Raise your hand if you've ever been working on something on your computer and it quit, and you lost all of your work. Maybe your computer died, or maybe the application just quit on you. Man, Logan, that has never happened for you. Wow, it's very rare that I've never heard anyone that's never happened. That's great. Make sure you always save your work. Yes, 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 I see. Oh, okay, Logan, it did happen for you. Yeah, it happened. So everyone gets these setbacks. It's just important to be able to keep going. That's a kind of easy one most people think of. All right, we'll keep going here. All right, lots of different kinds of engineering. I don't want to spend too long on this. Are there any of these that you guys want to talk about? Can anyone find the example? It's a joke that I put in here. Or not a joke, but one that kind of sticks out to you. Maybe spot one that's not like the other. Gaben?
It's second from the bottom.
Nice, Gaben.
On the right.
The reverse engineering. Yeah, it was a little funny. See who's paying attention. There you go. We are going to go through these, so I don't want to go and sit and define these all now. But if you all want to take a look, reverse engineering is the idea that you start with something and you break it down into parts. So you start with a computer mouse and you start to take it apart to understand how it works. But it's not exactly a field of engineering like the others. Yeah, nuclear, that one sounds, there's a lot with that. Is that one you're interested in, Cademan?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about it right now?
Yes.
Oh, very cool. Anything you want to share?
Just some basic knowledge.
Yeah.
Most nuclear reactors, of course, use uranium, and there's actually two kinds of uranium. There's uranium-238, which is just the generic garden variety uranium. Still pretty radioactive. But then uranium-235 is the one that can achieve fission, which is what most nuclear reactors use.
Very cool. All right, yeah, and so just a little bit of background there. Very good specifics. Nuclear engineering is the idea of being able to use that nuclear power. So a lot of times with nuclear engineering, kind of two big things would be like nuclear power plants, so getting energy. Also, nuclear power is used in subs a lot, so nuclear submarines is another big field because the military funds a lot of engineering work, and that's just true from far, far back as the Romans. The military has been a big, big push forward in technology because they got money to fund these big projects. Very cool. So Caden, maybe that's one that you want to learn a little bit more about for Wednesday. So, I like the specific kind of facts you had so far. Yeah, nuclear bombs, that's I think what a lot of people think of when they think of nuclear, but it's actually not the number one thing that engineers work on. Don't just think of engineering as a guy in a hard hat. There are all sorts of different kinds of engineers, from people that work hands-on building to people that research and are part of a team. It's not just people in a lab coat. It's not just people in the jumpsuit. It's people that wear business suits. It's people that wear jeans and hoodies to work, which I think would be a pretty sweet deal personally. It's all sorts of different jobs. I like this meme a lot. Yes, engineers tend to make a fair amount of money. Not everybody, but on average, engineers do quite well. All right. This is never a reason. This is never the pure reason to pursue, a career. If you hate engineering, you're not going to do well in engineering, right? You got to have that passion for it as well. You got to be interested, curious, etc. I will say there are so many different kinds of engineering that, keeping an open mind and doing research, you might find one that's interesting to you, even if maybe civil engineering, which is a kind of standard one for right off the bat, that's when you design things like roadways or bridges. If that's not something that that kind of interests you, there might be another one like software engineering that you do find interesting. But this is kind of a nice perk of the job. So not just high salaries, and that's what this shows here. Petroleum engineering, does anyone know what that is? Petroleum, it's not petroleum jelly. Any guesses on what a petroleum engineer might do? I see your hand, Cayman. I just want to give one more. All right. Cayman?
Petroleum is another word for gasoline.
Beautiful. Yes.
Or oil.
Or oil. So petroleum engineering, it makes a lot of money. Right. Oil, a lot of money in that. And there's also petroleum in plastic, so that's going to make a lot of money as well. The big takeaway, what I think is even more important than this meme here, right? Electrical engineering, you make a lot of money. People are happy with their jobs. This is a chart that shows different kinds of majors. And essentially, they went back to people in that major, people who got a career in the field that they majored in. And engineers, you can see them here. This is information science, which is kind of like a computer science a little bit, you could say. So chemical engineering, computer science, engineering, civil engineering. These are all at the top of the list. And this list was much, much longer. These are just the top ones here. So I think this one speaks volumes. All right, we're going to kind of move a little quickly through these because I want us to definitely be ready for HTML on Wednesday. There are a lot of jobs being created today as a result of technology. Lots of them are being lost to technology as well. And this is more and more true every year. Automation or machines doing the jobs that humans used to be able to do is a huge, huge thing. And so let's see here. You'll see that as we move forward, what this chart is kind of saying is that people with let's see here. Is this familiar? Does anyone know what this is or what this does? The name of this kind of machine? Feel free to take a guess too. I'm going to give you guys a minute, so you know, and everyone can guess if they so choose. And then I'll call on you, Caveman. I see your hands up. All right, Caveman, what's this called?
It looks like a robotic arm.
Nice.
Maybe a robotic drill used in automotive industry.
Yeah, that's a great guess. So yeah, it kind of looks a little weird without anything on the tip, right? Maybe that's why you were saying that you weren't quite sure what it was. Yeah, this is actually a robotic arm that you can switch out whatever is on the end here. I think you guys can see my, I hope you can. So this piece here, you can add different things to it. So you could add a drill, or you could add something that sorts nuts and bolts, or you could add a wrench, etc. So these are, let's see. Yeah, great, Logan, yeah. You could, yeah, put caps and bottles. Yeah, so this would be something that would be able to put the caps on bottles or something like that, a repetitive process. Robotic arms are used a lot. So when people think about technology kind of taking jobs, a lot of times people think about these jobs like manufacturing jobs. A lot of times, actually, however, or they'll think about food prep, janitorial or cleaning. You can imagine like an automated system like a Roomba taking jobs. A lot of times it's jobs, or what people are thinking is going to happen is that these medium skill jobs, like office and administration, operators, sales, these are actually going to be the jobs that get lost to technology. This is less jobs. It means essentially there are less jobs every year. Why? These people make more money, so it makes more financial sense for a business to replace one person who gets like a big salary with a robot, as opposed to replacing someone who maybe makes a smaller salary with a robot. So this is not to freak you out or seem scary. I know right now too, pretty far away from getting a job, right? But it is something to think about because there are a lot of jobs being created with technology. As a result of technology, you'll see like jobs like a social media person. That never existed before social media, right? Someone that writes tweets for a living. So it's just something to keep in mind too in terms of job security. If you can design and work on robotic arms, well, a lot of people are making robotic arms. So that would be a job that not only maybe is financially secure, it's pretty interesting, or people are pretty happy with that kind of job, and there are going to be a lot of jobs available for it. So just some things to keep in mind with engineering. And you can see here a whole bunch of robotic arms, just one person watching them. See a couple other people in the background there. All right, our last topic, and we're kind of moving a little quickly here, I know. Engineering versus scientific method. I'm enjoying this emoji slang. All right, Cayman, I'm going to put your hand down, but put your hand back up if you had something to say. I think it was from before. Scientific method. You observe something. You think maybe, oh yeah. So you think, that if you feed your cat peanut butter, that your cat has more energy, right? You make an observation. You notice that when your cat steals your peanut butter sandwich out of your lunch bag, he seems to be wired for the rest of the day. Okay, so you make an observation, you make a hypothesis based on that observation, and then you design an experiment to see, well, maybe you give your cat a little bit of peanut butter and you play with him versus not giving your cat. Or you have two cats and you give one peanut butter and one not peanut butter. I should go ahead and put an advisory here. Probably should not give your cat peanut butter. So, so please don't do that. Don't try this at home. That's my advisory for this, right? Peanut butter is human food, not cat food. But let's say it's Garfield the cat, right? We can switch to lasagna. I don't know if Garfield is still in the comics, the funny papers, like he was when I was a kid. But Garfield was a pretty good cat that liked to eat lasagna. So you design these experiments. Yes, it is? Okay. That makes my day that Garfield's still there. He's a pretty great cat. But you do this, basically you see something and you think, oh, I bet this is why this is. I'm going to design an experiment to see if that's true. And either your data from that experiment is going to say, yes, lasagna does make my cat play harder, does give my cat more energy, or no, that's not true. And when you publish the results, right, you're not making cat energy powder. No, you just want to know. You're naturally curious. And science is a wonderful thing. There is nothing wrong with the scientific method at all. It's great. We learn a lot about the world using this method. The engineering method is different, though. It takes research by scientists and mathematicians, and sometimes engineers will do experiments of their own as well. But it takes that knowledge and it uses it to make a product. All right. A lot of times you can think about the difference being, how can I prove if if a theory is right or wrong? That's the scientific method. The engineering design process, or the engineering method, is what research can we take? What data can we use in order to design a solution to a problem? And that basic cycle is, once you have your question, how can I increase the energy of my cat? You use research, you use a whole bunch of studies on what has worked well and what has not worked well. Maybe you design an experiment, but then you use that information, you create a plan, you create cat energy powder, and you test it out. And then based on those prototypes, you continue to develop. It's a cycle. So you make protein powder 1 for cats, test it out. You make protein powder 2 for cats, test it out. Based on how it's working, based on those tests, you continue to improve on it until you're ready to commercialize. All right, and we are going to see this all throughout the term. Probably not with protein powder for cats, but I wanted to follow up on that example there. Let's see. Hey, Kevin.
Oh, here's just my theory behind why feeding peanut butter to your cat would make it hyper.
Yeah.
Probably because its mouth is full of peanut butter trying to get out and it's going crazy.
That is probably true, which is probably why you shouldn't give your cat peanut butter.
Yeah, I have a cat.
Yeah.
I know what it's like.
Okay, good. My cat was making some noise, so that's why he was on my mind. That's actually how they made Mr. Ed talk. Mr. Ed was a horse that spoke on, he had a TV show where he talked, and they would give Mr. Ed peanut butter, the horse, and it looked like he was talking because he was trying to get the peanut butter out of his mouth. Logan also agrees, true. Wait. Oh, you have another thing to say. Oops. Yes, Caden.
Ed the horse? What? Never heard of that.
Mr. Ed, I'll bring in a clip of Mr. Ed for Wednesday. All right, let's finish this.
Okay.
So you guys can, on Wednesday, you guys can do some work on your own as well. But Mr. Ed was some quality TV. I think it was before my time, definitely before your time, but it was some quality TV. All right, this is the optional homework. Note that bolded optional there. I sent that out to you in PDF form. I'm really interested to see. I did not know that information about uranium. Cademan, that was really cool. So I would love to hear kind of any input. I'm specifically looking at this number 4 here. What's an engineer? What sorts of traits make a good engineer? These are the things that we went over today. You can either just try to go from your memory, or you can watch the recording. I encourage you, maybe wait a day. Maybe take a look at this tomorrow when you've been away from the material for a little bit and just check back in. I have this in your own words here. I strongly encourage you to always put things in your own words. You may think that by writing out the definition verbatim, which means word for word the same, if you give me my definition, word for word, that you're answering the question correctly. But actually, if you put it in your own words, that shows me that you really understand the difference. Oops. All right. Being able to talk about the scientific method versus the engineering method by talking about cat peanut butter powder, right? That shows me that you understand, or your own example. Maybe, I don't know, something to help your dog survive thunderstorms without getting really afraid. Talking about the scientific versus engineering method and dogs and thunderstorms, that shows me that you really understand because you're able to give an example in your own words. Okay. And then, yeah, so choose a field of engineering that's interesting to you and research it. Of course, make sure your parents are on board. Go to the library or check out Google. Just so you got to make sure everybody's on board with you and the internet searching, of course. All right. I'm going to leave you with some links here to some games that are really cool. These are some different engineering kind of games that are a practice in perseverance. So we'll pull on these more. I'll leave the links here in chat. Maybe I'll just give out this levers and pulleys one for now. So why do you think I'm giving you this as a test of perseverance? Does anyone have an idea in our last couple of minutes here? Rube Goldberg, yeah. Any ideas? So the idea here is that in a lot of games, the idea is very simple, like the gameplay. I'm thinking Flappy Bird, right? All you do is you just tap your thumb on the screen and try your best to succeed. With these games, the answer might not be evidence right away on how you get your pulleys and your levers to work. Right, it looks like this fire from the candle is going to burn the rope, which is going to drop this, which is going to fling the hippo up, right? So it's a way to learn about levers and pulleys, which are part of engineering, but also it's a way to keep trying, even if you don't know the answer right away. And what I tell my high schoolers all the time is to try when we're doing something difficult like programming or If they're working in Kerbal Space Program and they can't get something to work, I say try as hard as you would if this is a new level of your favorite video game, right? Because a lot of times if it's in game form, the challenge is fun. So, you can think about puzzles that way. But I'll leave you with this. I've enjoyed a lot today. I'm excited to get working on some HTML. Flap, 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 Angry Bird. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Flappy Bird. It definitely makes Miss Dubik angry. So, all right. Have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to webinar on Wednesday. Thank you guys for coming. And then on Wednesday, we will be working on those Google sites, and you will be coding a little bit in HTML. So I look forward to that. And Cademan, I'm going to look into some different collaborative activities that we could do. I think with Google Docs, we could have some cool collaborative ideas there. So stay tuned for that. Enjoy the game. The game, oh, I sent it out in chat. To the whole audience. So and I'll put it on in Moto for you. But make sure, it is an educational game, but make sure you get permission to play. All right, it's very safe, but you got to get your schoolwork done first. Have a wonderful evening. Oh, make a game. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, I'll make a game. That'll be fun. All right. Bye, you guys.